Where did Jesus go? After he breathed his last on the cross and before he rose again on the third day, a haunting question has echoed for over 2,000 years. Where did Jesus go during those 3 days? The Bible doesn't give us a step-by-step account of this period, but scattered passages offer intriguing clues that have sparked centuries of debate among theologians and believers alike. Let's delve into this profound mystery together. One of the most widely discussed theories is the harrowing of hell, a powerful image of Christ's descent into Hades. Now, it's crucial to understand what Hades or Sheol meant in this context. It wasn't the fiery pit of eternal punishment often depicted in popular culture. Instead, it was considered the realm of the dead, a shadowy place where all souls, both righteous and unrighteous, awaited judgment. A key verse that supports this idea comes from 1 Peter chapter 3, which says Jesus went and proclaimed to the spirits in prison, because they formerly did not obey. Some scholars interpret this to mean that Jesus descended into Hades not to suffer, but to proclaim his ultimate victory over sin and death. Imagine the scene. Christ, having just conquered the cross, confronts the powers of darkness head-on, declaring that their reign is over. This wasn't a battle, it was a victory lap. He wasn't there to be punished, he was there to set captives free. Ephesians 4 also hints at this, stating that when Jesus ascended on high, he led a host of captives. Many believe these captives were the righteous souls from the Old Testament, like Abraham, Moses, and David, who were waiting in Hades for the Messiah's salvation. Jesus, in this view, descended to personally escort them into heaven, fulfilling the promise of redemption for all generations. This idea is also powerfully reflected in the Apostles' Creed, an ancient statement of Christian faith, which explicitly says, "He descended into hell." For centuries, this has been understood not as a descent into damnation, but as a mission of liberation and proclamation. It underscores the totality of Christ's victory. It extends not just to the living, but to the dead. Not just to the future, but to the past. His sacrifice was so complete that it reached into the very heart of death itself and broke its chains. But that's not the only interpretation. Another compelling perspective comes directly from the words of Jesus on the cross. Remember the scene? Flanked by 2 thieves, one mocks him, but the other recognizes his innocence and kingship. In a moment of profound faith, the repentant thief asks, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus' response is one of the most comforting promises in all of Scripture. "Truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." This raises a fascinating question. If Jesus told the thief they would be in paradise that day how could he have also descended into Hades? The word paradise itself offers a clue. It is often used to describe the Garden of Eden or a place of peace and rest with God, essentially, heaven. This leads many to believe that upon his death, Jesus' spirit went directly into the presence of God the Father, taking the redeemed thief with him. So, how do we reconcile these two seemingly conflicting ideas of descent into Hades and an immediate entry into paradise? Some theologians suggest it's a matter of timing and perspective. Perhaps today didn't mean a literal 24-hour period, but referred to the immediate state after death. Others propose that Jesus' divine nature allowed for a presence in both realms. Or, perhaps Hades and paradise were not entirely separate locations, but different states of being within the same spiritual realm, one of waiting and one of blissful communion. According to this view, while Jesus' body lay in the tomb, his spirit was in paradise, enjoying fellowship with the Father. This interpretation emphasizes the immediate reward for faith and the personal, intimate nature of salvation. It paints a picture of Jesus not just as a conquering king, but as a gentle shepherd, personally leading the first soul saved by his finished work on the cross into eternal rest. This perspective provides immense comfort, assuring believers that death is not a doorway to a shadowy waiting room, but an immediate passage into the joyful presence of Christ. Let's circle back to that mysterious passage in 1 Peter chapter 3, because it has given rise to yet another fascinating interpretation. The verse says Jesus went and proclaimed to the spirits in prison. We've discussed the idea that this was a victory declaration in Hades, but a third view suggests something even more profound, that this was an act of evangelism. Who were these spirits in prison? The text mentions they were those who formerly did not obey, when God's patience waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared. This specific reference has led some scholars to propose that Jesus preached the gospel to the souls of those who perished in the great flood, people who had never had the chance to hear about the coming Messiah and his sacrifice. This isn't about offering a second chance after death for those who rejected the gospel in their lifetime. Rather, it's seen as a unique, one-time event extending God's grace to a specific group who lived before the covenant with Abraham and the law of Moses. It suggests that God's plan for salvation is so vast and merciful that it even encompasses those who lived in a time of limited divine revelation. In this view, Jesus' mission during those 3 days was to bridge a historical gap, ensuring that the offer of salvation was made complete across all of human history. This idea opens a door of hope that transcends our limited understanding of life and death. It speaks to the boundless nature of God's love and justice. If this interpretation is correct, it means that no one is beyond the reach of His grace. Those 3 silent days weren't a pause in God's plan. They were an active, crucial part of it, demonstrating the universal scope of Christ's redemptive work. It's a powerful reminder that God's ways are higher than our ways, and His mercy extends to the farthest corners of time and existence. So, we have 3 main theories: a victorious descent to liberate the righteous dead from Hades, an immediate ascension to paradise with the repentant thief, and a unique preaching mission to spirits from a past age. Is it possible that all 3 contain a piece of the truth? The Bible is often complex, using different language and imagery to describe profound spiritual realities that are beyond our full comprehension. Perhaps Jesus did, in a way, do all of these things. His divine spirit, not bound by physical time and space, could have proclaimed victory in Hades, liberating Old Testament saints while simultaneously being in communion with the Father in paradise and extending grace to those in the prison of the past. The different accounts might not be contradictory, but complementary, each highlighting a different facet of this monumental event. What we can say for certain is that those 3 days were anything but empty or idle. While the world mourned and the disciples hid in fear, the greatest event in cosmic history was unfolding behind the veil. Jesus was completing His conquest of sin, death, and the devil. These silent days were the turning point for humanity's eternal destiny. They represent the ultimate fulfillment of God's promise, securing salvation for all who would believe. The mystery of where Jesus went isn't meant to be a riddle that divides us, but a wonder that unites us in awe of the depth and breadth of His sacrifice. It shows us that His love reaches every corner of existence: the past, the present, and the future, the living and the dead. The empty tomb on the 3rd day is the ultimate proof that wherever He went as a conqueror. And because He lives, we too can have hope, no matter what shadows we face. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of Christianity's most profound mysteries. If this sparked your curiosity, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content that explores the depths of faith. What are your thoughts on where Jesus went? Share them in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.